is to look when we know who the question is.
Wait.
But what if our killer is someone who's not rational?
Why do we behave the way we do? It's a question asked by poets and philosophers and theologians since time immemorial. The playground of Shakespeare, Dostoevsky, Freud, the stuff of Crime and Punishment and Beyond the Pleasure Principle. The greatest minds in history have been fascinated by the vagaries of behavior. So, in a case where we can't immediately divine motive, we shouldn't panic. It's a riddle, but it can be solved. It's complex, but it's human.
Thank you, Holden. That was very illuminating.
So what the hell's Beyond the Pleasure Principle?
By Freud?
So this is about sex.
Actually, it's where he looks for human impulses beyond sex, specifically the death drive.
What's that? Something my kid does with a stick shift.
Freud suggests that there's an innate desire for destruction, based on the propensity for matter to return.
What does this have to do with motive?
Well, we've always looked at motive as need or greed, right?
A guy steals a TV to sell it to buy drugs.
Exactly. But let's say while he's at it, he steals your wife's panties, too.
If he stole my wife's panties, I'd be amazed.
Well, he's not selling those, so why does he do it? Is it merely prurient?
He could be motivated by something he doesn't even understand.
Our new quest, like Freud, is to look beyond what we assume are obvious impulses.
So why didn't you just say that?
They don't want to learn. What are we even doing here?
Just don't make it too complicated.
What's wrong with complicated?
There's complicated and there's too complicated, Holden.
We used to do this experiment in social psychology.
Uh-huh. What was that?
You get onto a crowded elevator, and you face the opposite direction, the back of the elevator, and everybody freaks out. They're uncomfortable for reasons they can't even articulate. But if you turn around and face the front, everybody relaxes.
Okay. Well, how do we do that?
What do we have in common? What unites us? What keeps us all awake at night? Monster. Right? I think we can all agree. But what do you really know about him? Do you know that his mother was a jailbird and a prostitute? Do you know when he was 10 years old, she palmed him off onto his sadistic, Bible-thumping uncle who beat him within an inch of his life and taunted him to act like a man? Charles responded to that by becoming a pimp and an armed robber and was incarcerated for over 20 years where he continued to be brutalized. In 1967, he was paroled during the Summer of Love. And our nightmare began.
Come on.
Here we have a child who was unwanted, unloved, regularly beaten, and repeatedly institutionalized. Now, might this not have had some sort of an effect on him?
He was born that way.
What way?
Just bad.
Can we be a little bit more specific? Technically, he didn't kill anybody.
Look at those eyes. How can you not say that dude's evil?
That's a little bit Old Testament, don't you think? Good, evil, black, white, it's easy. But who in this room has a life that's easy? Circumstances affect behavior. When we look at Manson's background, the real question is, how could we not have seen this coming?
We did.
I'm sorry?
He was institutionalized because we could see it coming.
Okay, but I'm saying maybe, just maybe, locking him up his young life helped make him what he was.
No.
What the fuck?
They locked him up because of what he did. They already knew what he was.
Okay, but guys, I'm not asking anybody to feel sorry for Charles Manson.
If he were here right now, I'd shoot him dead and no one would stop me.
I think what Holden's trying to say is maybe it's both. The one impacting on the other in a vicious circle.
When it comes to these kinds of things, nobody has all the answers.
We have some answers.
We should be asking questions.
No shit. Well, I'll just tell my buddies in robbery homicide who were there. When the corpses were found, that they may have overlooked a difficult upbringing.
You were LAPD.
22 years.
You were Manson?
No, but I knew every single man who did. How many homicides have you worked?
You need to figure out who you're talking to before you tell a sob story about little Chucky Manson. They wrote pigs on the wall in their victim's blood.
They completely missed my point.
In the future, ask if anyone's worked a case before you bring it up. Know your fucking audience.
Oh, shit.
It's okay. They always do this. Just be a good listener.
Gentlemen. Frank McGraw. I didn't mean to embarrass anybody back there. Not a problem. We're all a little tense around here. You must have heard about a mother and child who were murdered recently. Ada Jeffries and her boy.
We've seen reporters.
She was bound, stabbed repeatedly by the chest and face. The boy's throat was cut.
Rough one.
I don't understand entirely what you're talking about with this psychology. I don't understand much of anything anymore.
What's on your mind, Frank?
Hate to bother.
No, by all means, bother us.
When I left Los Angeles, I thought I'd gone far enough. Ada was the kind of woman who wouldn't say boo to a goose. She came from a deeply religious family in Arkansas. When they found out she was pregnant, they put her out. She lived in a rooming house in Libertyville. No drugs, no alcohol. Never had a brush with the law. The boy was polite and quiet. She had him in Sunday school at the Methodist church. She would sweep the steps every evening just to be of service. I never met Ada. Every now and again, I'd see her and her son walk along the road into town. They didn't have a car. Landlady found the bodies. They had been dead 4 days. What people want. She lived in a rooming house in Libertyville. No drugs, no alcohol. Never had a brush with the law. The boy was polite and quiet. She had him in Sunday school at the Methodist church. She would sweep the steps every evening just to be of service. I never met Ada. Every now and again, I'd see her and her son walk along the road into town. They didn't have a car. Landlady found the bodies. They had been dead 4 days. What people won't do to each other, nothing people won't do.
How can we help?
She was found cuffed and lashed to the bed. Broomstick, perforator rectum. Whoever it was, made the boy watch. Then did the same thing to him.
How'd he get in?
Bathroom window. We think that's how he came and went. There was no sign of forcible entry. No one heard a beep.
In a rooming house?
My assumption is he held a knife to the boy to keep her quiet. Vice versa.
This falls clearly into the category of lust murder. By that I mean it's sexually motivated.
That cannot be about horny.
It's more about sexual gratification through the annihilation of another. Did you find semen?
Found some on the throat cushion. It was blood type, though. I know that's not much help.
Anything in the victims?
No.
You didn't rape them.
He could have problems with sex.
That'd be a good bet.
Could narrow things with your suspects.
I don't have suspects. I don't have fingerprints, shoe prints. Not so much as a single hair.
Well,
The fact that the killer left nothing behind is interesting. It must have been premeditated to a degree. He had gloves. He cleaned up after himself.
You think he was stalking her?
Or she just caught his eye.
What about the boy?
he was a witness.
There are more expedient ways to get rid of a witness.
Why make the boy watch?
And why sodomize him?
That's a good point. Is this crime about the woman or about the child?
You're asking me.
I was just posing questions.
I get that.
The broomstick.
Yeah.
Is it the same broomstick that she used to sweep the church steps?
What if it is?
He might not be a congregant. Might be someone just passing through, but the church could be significant.
Could.
With the idea of service. I think that there's a passage in Mark. Something about the Son of Man.
I don't follow.
All I'm saying is the broom may mean something.
What?
I don't know.
It's hard to tell from just the photos.
This woman was devoted to her child, tried hard, and some stranger came along and... Come on, Agent Ford. You got fancy methods. What does a broomstick in the ass of a dirt-poor single mom mean?
I don't know.
You're kidding me.
I don't understand it. We can't help you with this.
We need more time to go over this.
We are in the dark here. We don't know any more than you do.
How fucking dare you?
I'm sorry we wasted your time.
Can I get these back to you?